You know, with Ghostbusters fever running amok right now, I decided, hey, why not revisit the Blitzway Ecto-1 1/6 scale vehicle? Let's do it. Hello, folks. Danoby2 here. Thank you for joining me once again on a visual tour. Not so much a visual tour, but more of a revisit. This video, I wanted to kind of explore alternative views, more of an exploration of the Ecto-1. This vehicle went into pre-order November 2017, and it was delivered by Blitzway on February. It was delivered on February 2020 is when I got mine. I want to say it released in Hong Kong in December of 2019. This was one of those vehicles that suffered the pain and agony of the 2016 Ghostbusters. I honestly feel that Blitzway thought that the Ghostbusters fever would take off, assuming that the film would have been a success, and it was not. I'm using my little micro GoPro here, the GoPro Hero Pro 5, just to kind of get alternative angles. I'm just doing a lot of exploring here because I forgot how much detail Blitzway was able to incorporate into a vehicle of this size for parts of the vehicle that we'll never see unless you make an effort to, which is just mind-blowing. It's just, it really, really is mind-blowing. I wanted to, at one point, and I've abandoned it, I wanted to do a little bit of a modification here. I wanted to explore a few months ago, about more like last month, see if I can retrofit anything. Can I make this anything similar to what we saw in the Ghostbusters Afterlife vehicle? And beautiful thing with the GoPro Hero 5 here is that it's small and compact, and it helps me get into certain angles of the Ecto-1. This is incredible. As much as I love the DeLorean, the 1/6 scale DeLorean from Hot Toys, Blitzway honestly knocked out of the park. The amount of detail in this is just incredible. There's been rumors and rumblings whether or not they would re-release this vehicle or re-release it into the Ghostbusters Afterlife Ecto-1. I don't know. I don't know if lightning will strike twice. I would 100% support if they were able to make a Ghostbusters Afterlife Ecto-1 based off the film. I think it'd be phenomenal. I mean, look at this. I mean, just the detail in that engine is just incredible. A lot of these shots with the Hero 5 were just me just kind of playing around with it and seeing what I was able to accomplish. I get the Gertie out of here with the Ecto pack on there, and then you can see the right there the platform where they would have I guess modified it so that you would have had that little RC trap, which is pretty cool. I honestly enjoyed that scene in the film. I enjoyed the film. I really did. I really enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and the fact that they did some modifications after Ghostbusters 2 to include an RC ghost trap is just fantastic, and you kind of see it there. This is the Plasma Series Ecto-1, and I'm using this as a reference. I wanted to see what type of changes the Ecto-1 went through in the 30 years, and the Plasma Series Ecto-1 helps. It's such a great, I'm using it as a tool, honestly, just seeing what has changed and what is not. At one point, I'd wanted to 3D print a gunner seat, and I abandoned the idea just because of the amount of damage that this current Ecto-1 would suffer, especially that I was under the impression that I'd be able to screw out the hinges on this door, on the right side door here, and then turn it into a suicide door. But it's glued on. You can see some of the red axle grease on there, and I just didn't want to do it. I'm like, I thought there'd be screws here where I can just unscrew it, and it doesn't. There's two seats back here. I figured I could grab one of these chairs here and 3D print like an extendy arm, have someone commission and do it, and kind of have it. I mean, the space is there. You can kind of see the well on the floor and so forth, and there's extra chairs on there. So I wouldn't have mind hot gluing like an extendy arm, but it was more the door. So you can kind of see the changes. So like the one thing you'll notice is that the ladder has been removed. It's actually been moved to the other side. The tube in, and then again the suicide door from the Ecto-1 plasma series kind of shows you how the actual mechanics work. And to pull off the gunner seat, there's a lot of equipment that's been removed to pull off that, to create this maneuver. And the proton pack on the chair, which is powered by the Ecto-1. I want to say it's not a self-contained unit, which I didn't understand, right? From what I recall from the film, the Ecto pack there was being powered directly from the Ecto-1. And you can kind of see some of the equipment on there, and that's just me feeling around the joints. The safest way, my idea was that I would be able to print out a 3D extended arm, use one of those chairs, and then just hot glue it where it wouldn't damage the paint or anything to the vehicle. And this is from the back angle of the vehicle. Something that I found a little bit odd and perplexing is that there's been structural changes to the Ecto-1. So I'm going to show you right here. So the ladder was moved from the right side of the vehicle to the left side, and there's a lot of space. There's the tube end, the blue tube end, and the ladder. I just don't understand where this ladder would fit right here. It doesn't. There's a lot of gap between this door and the ladder. My conclusion is that the door shrunk. So on the driver's passenger door, this door right here is it's smaller. But I don't understand how you would make the door smaller and then not change the vehicle's frame. And you can kind of see it right there. See the doors right here? And so that's more of a... So in the film, this is the original Ecto-1, but this is more of a continuity error, where the door in the film is smaller than the actual original Ecto-1 door. So it's not, like I said, it's not that they're using a different Ecto-1. I think it's just more of a continuity error to fit the narrative of the story. So there's the door there. But yeah, if you're able to get a hold of this Plasma Series Ecto-1 from Hasbro, they really did a good job on it. It kind of shows you the evolution of the 30-year time span, and it's just nice that I was able to compare it and so forth. The other thing too that I'm a little bit confused, and maybe you folks can help me, is that the film gave me the impression that every Ghostbusters had a signature proton pack. I could be wrong, don't grill me, but they made it seem like Egon had his own signature proton pack. And if that's the case, I'm assuming that the modifications came after the original Ghostbusters, because the original Ghostbusters, the proton packs were all identical from what I can tell. Blitzway did a really good job making these 1/6 scale proton packs. I mean, these are by far the best, if not the only. And you can kind of see that they're identical. So that's something that I found a little bit confusing, where they just, especially with the HasLab campaign with the proton pack. I mean, it's a signature. I mean, they're calling it Egon's proton pack, and the HasLab campaign that's going on with the proton pack. So that's one of the things that I just found a little bit confusing, that they gave me the impression that they all had their own signature proton packs and slightly modified. And again, if that's the case, I'm assuming that came later. Looking at, I forgot the amount of detail they were able to put into the new Neutrino wand here. It's just incredible. Simply just incredible. And because I have the Plasma Series 1/1 scale wand, Proton wand, I was able to kind of compare it and so forth, and kind of look at it and just look at the detail. I mean, Blitzway, God, if there was ever a time to reissue some of this stuff, it would probably would be now, since the Ghostbusters fever is just really, really positive. I'm gonna get that attached on there. And I think 1/6 scale is probably the best size to portray a Ghostbusters in your own toy collection, because going back to the Mezco one and just seeing the lack of detail. I mean, this is still for a 1/12 scale figure. I think Mezco 1 did a really good job. But when you compare the Proton pack to the 1/6 scale version, you start to notice that they omitted a lot of details, especially like that antenna wand that protrudes from the back, and then like the yellow tubing right there. I mean, right there there'd be like a yellow tubing, like the antenna wand. It wasn't included there. And you can kind of see, it's like, oh, well, if they omitted that, what else is being omitted? Yeah, that little yellow tubing and so forth. I mean, overall, it's the Mezco 1 Ghostbusters is still a great set for the value, for what you're able to get. The Proton pack does light up. It doesn't blink, doesn't pulsate, but it's still a good job for a 1/12 scale figure. Yeah, it really is. And this is look at Egon here. Just great. This is just. I still think Blitzway did a fantastic job with Egon and Peter and even Ray. I will confess, though, one of my biggest regrets at this point, because these figures are trending so high in the secondary market, is not picking up a Winston. Yeah, Winston Xenomorph. That's one of my biggest regrets. The Ghost Trap from the Blitzway. Relies on a spring mechanic here, a little spring mechanism, which it honestly never worked from day one. I don't know if anybody else's Ghost Trap ever worked properly, but it's that fear that if this breaks, I may never see this ever again. But as far as the weathering and the detail, I mean, it's there. Other than the spring-loaded bay doors there, just don't work. And just for comparison, though, I did end up picking up a Mattel version, because Mattel actually did a 12-inch Ghostbusters line about 10 years ago. And you can kind of see the difference there, and then the comparison and so forth. So, regardless, there still is a nice Ghost Trap. It's a shame, though. I really had one point wanted to do a gunner seat to my Ecto-1, but it's just not going to... I don't want to damage it, and maybe one day if Blitzway decides to reissue the Ecto-1 based off of the Afterlife, I would definitely support it. It's a great vehicle. It's just fantastic. I mean, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, it is definitely one to add to your collection. Like, subscribe, leave your comments below, and thank you for joining me in this little revisit to the Ghostbusters Ecto-1.